Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew studio. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the third for free with the promo code Wrestle at BlueChew.com.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard. Well, you know.
That's not a rib.
No, yeah, but me.
There's no box of gimmicks.
Rumor and innuendo.
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo. Was he there? I was there.
Say something.
I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle
Something to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with. Bruce Prichard. And the mortgage guy, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle With. John Layfield. John, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm outstanding, Conrad. Bradshaw 316 says I just stole your fucking podcast.
Well, I am so glad you did, and we appreciate all of you being here with us today. And what a day it is. John, I don't know if you know this or not, but our great close personal friend, the man behind the scenes, the man who makes it all happen. You know him. You love him. The stud muffin. Dave Silva is celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Mr. Silva.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, super porky wannabe. Happy birthday to you.
I like that you've started calling him Super Porky. Did you know that good old JR calls him Bull Ramus?
I didn't know that. Well, actually, I did not. Psycho Clown. I like Psycho Clown. He's a good friend of mine. I wrestled Super Porky back in the early 90s. This stud muffin, Dave Silva, actually referred to himself as the new Super Porky. So that's where I got it from. So I'd love to claim it for myself, but he actually referred to himself as that. He's a very creative guy, and it's his birthday. He's 92 today.
Can you believe, by the way, that he's recorded 4 podcasts with me today on his birthday?
He is a workaholic.
He is a workaholic, and I hope that he has a great day after his birthday, because I personally have ruined his birthday, but we appreciate all of us getting together here to talk about something to wrestle. We should start with some big news. Normally, John and I record on Thursdays. We're actually recording a day early. We've got some travel. Stay tuned for more details on that. But the big news today on Wednesday is the passing of Ted Turner. And Ted Turner, obviously, in a wrestling context, represents WCW. But boy, what a pioneer he was in cable television and so many other things. But TBS, TNT, CNN, the Hawks, the Braves. I mean, you go on and on and on. They don't make them like this anymore, do they, John?
No, they don't. That man was a freaking entrepreneur. What an unbelievable pioneer Ted Turner was. We go back to Jim Barnett. Jim Barnett has done so much with so many people. Started the Dumont Network in Chicago, doing it to Australia when he had a little problem with the Kentucky football team. Yeah, a slight problem. And he went to Australia and with Rupert Murdoch lit up the world on fire down there in national television down in Australia, came back and got with Ted Turner and did the same thing here. I mean, there's a huge correlation here with Jim Barnett, but Ted Turner, what a freaking legend in the business.
A media maverick, creating 24-hour news networks, really creating cable television. Passing away at 87 years old. And, I don't know that this is in the cards, but I hope it is. I don't even think he would have cared, a guy of this much success in his life. But I hope he goes in the WWE Hall of Fame next year, John, because so much of what we appreciate and enjoy today really was based on him supporting wrestling, whether it's buying the Crockett's or going head to head with Monday Night Raw and creating what we still talk about is the Monday Night Wars, or if you're watching along with us on somethingtowrestle.com, we're seeing a photo right now of the contract signing of the first ever live on pay-per-view matchup with Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. A lot of people thought it should have happened back in 92 at WrestleMania 8. It happened 2 years later in July of 94, and it set a record. But the idea that Ted Turner was really a friend to wrestling, an ally, a believer, an advocate, whatever Paul Heyman would call himself for Brock Lesnar. That's what Ted Turner was for wrestlers, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. And he changed the world. He changed the world with regional sports networks first. You know, when he got the Atlanta Braves and he's put them on his network, he owned the network and the baseball team. That changed the world. Now you watch Yes Network. Now things are changing because of streaming. It's changing again. But now you have the Braves on there who you don't have to worry about making money for the baseball team from ticket sales and from just revenue. You also got free content on your network with those guys. You know, 80-something plus home games, plus, 162 games for the entire year. Same thing with wrestling. You know, when we were competing with Mr. Turner, he owned the network. So it wasn't like he had to make money off pay-per-views or he had to make money off simple live gates or television revenue. Because he owned the network, that was content to him and basically free content. It came from somewhere, but because he owned it, he changed the model. I mean, changed it absolutely completely. He was an absolute pioneer. And if he hadn't left, if he hadn't had that Time Warner merger, which is one of the worst corporate mergers in the history of corporations, not on his side, on the other side that significantly overpaid for all this stuff, this would have, wrestling could have been different. I still think Vince probably wins, but it would have changed.
I know that he certainly had his critics. Everybody did, but I love the rivalry as much as it may have been a one-sided rivalry between Vince McMahon and Ted Turner, because during the Monday Night Wars, it does feel like whenever we would see Vince come out and say something about WCW, more often than not, he wasn't talking about Bischoff. He was talking about Ted Turner. And I know that, wrestling was Vince's life's work, whereas this was just one of Ted's many businesses. But I love that he just did things his own way. I'm looking at a tweet today from Josh Billinson, who wrote, thinking about the time Ted Turner fired the manager of the Atlanta Braves and appointed himself as the replacement to try to figure out why the team was so bad and break a 16-game losing streak. He managed for one game in 1977 before the National League told him he couldn't do that. Quote, they must have put that rule in yesterday. If I'm smart enough to save $11 million to buy the team, I ought to be smart enough to manage it. I don't know why, but that tickles me.
He was the best. I mean, he's the one that created, when Vince was fighting WCW, he was fighting Ted Turner because he's the one that created an unfair environment. And I say unfair, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want. You want an unfair environment. You want the odds on your side. And that's what Ted Turner created. Because he owned the network, he had so much more flexibility financially than WWE did, who just had to make money off of straight wrestling product. It didn't have content that was going to USA Network, and Vince had owned USA Network, it'd have been the same. Now you're getting your content from your wrestling, which you also own. I mean, Ted Turner was quite the pioneer. I think he really regretted in his life getting rid of CNN. I mean, I think he really hated the fact that he did. I mean, he got a huge payoff, but I think he was a worker. He wasn't a guy that wanted to retire on his Buffalo ranch and just kind of ride off in the sunset. He wanted to go out working, and I think he really regretted selling CNN and Time Warner.
I can't wait to see all the different tributes that are going to be popping up in the coming days and weeks for Ted Turner. But man, his impact on pro wrestling, I don't think can be stated fondly enough and proudly enough. I know that it was really a blip in the history of his life. It wasn't all that important relative to all the other things, but what an impact he left in this space. We actually talked to Eric Bischoff earlier today, and he argued that WWE and AEW in the way they exist today wouldn't be that way without Ted Turner. And I don't think he's that far off. Do you?
What was his argument?
Well, his argument being that just the format of the show and the format that exists now for all wrestling shows was largely built out of Nitro. And that was built out of necessity to, hey, how do we compete and go head to head with a Monday Night Raw? And even furthermore, on the AEW front, would wrestling be on TBS and TNT if there wasn't a legacy and a history there? Like, I don't know. I think it's interesting, the debate that is going to happen in the coming weeks. Where is Ted Turner's place in wrestling? I think it's got to be up there.
Yeah, I do too. And you always wonder what would happen if he didn't have that merger, that Time Warner AOL merger, because Ted was very interested in wrestling. And he always said, as long as he was there, he was always going to have wrestling. But once you had that merger, they didn't care. They didn't care at all about wrestling. You listen to anybody who dealt with the executives, nobody gave a crap about anything wrestling did. That was Ted Turner's baby, though. If Ted Turner had stayed, you wonder how things might have changed, because Ted was a complete pioneer, and he was a very smart guy, a guy that could do that. You know, if you're Vince McMahon, you don't want him 100% invested in that wrestling product because he would be a very good competitor.
Let's talk a little bit about the other news that everybody's talking about this week. But before we do, I want to go ahead and give a plug to our friends over at Factor. I don't know if you've heard the news, but John's getting in better shape than he's been in a long time. And for him and a lot of folks, eating healthy isn't a willpower problem. It's more of a setup problem. That is until you find Factor. I mean, listen, we've all done this. We've got healthy stuff in our pantry and in our fridge, but we just don't have it in us to go rattle those pots and pans. But with Factor, you can hit your nutrition goals this season without the planning, the grocery runs, or the cooking. Factor has meals that are built to help you achieve your goals, whether that's weight loss or overall nutrition, more protein, or just GLP-1 support. For strength and workout recovery, you should check out Muscle Pro. That Muscle Pro collection from Factor is exactly what you're looking for. No matter what you're picking, every meal is crafted with functional ingredients. You'll get your lean proteins, your colorful veggies, your whole foods, your healthy fats. You may not realize this, but Factor actually has banned over 175 different ingredients. You won't find any artificial colors or sweeteners. There's no high fructose corn syrup, no refined seed oils, just nutrient-dense food that you can really believe in. Fresh, never frozen. That's what you can always expect with Factor. And with over 100 different rotating weekly meals, you can try everything, including globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean and Asian. There's always something new to look forward to. You never feel like you're getting in that rut. They've even got the newly launched ready-to-eat salads. They've got some pretty cool ingredients there, plus like 70 different add-ons to round out your nutrition. And I mean everything from like green juices to doggone peanut butter energy bites. No matter what you pick, you should know that all your Factor meals are ready in just 2 minutes. Factor is going to handle the shopping, the prepping, the cooking, and then they're going to deliver it straight to your door. So you got more time for everything else this spring. Head on over right now to factormeals.com/wrestle50off. Use our code wrestle50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscription only while supplies last until September 27th, 2026. See website for details. That's factormeals.com/wrestle50off, or just use the code wrestle50off. John, the headline this week is not necessarily a good headline, but it is necessary in business. And some people are saying it's the cost of doing business. Other people are throwing the flags. Obviously, it's an emotional conversation when you're talking about people losing their jobs or having to take a pay cut. That's going to be front and center for some of our discussions today. There's a report out that TKO has come and asked some of their performers to restructure their contract. And some of those have went along with it. And it does feel like it's a little bit of a witch hunt to sort of name names online, which I think is a little silly. I want to remind the people who are doing that, hey, the folks you're wanting to be publicly named and shamed have to make the decision that's best for their family. They're not taking a vote here. They've got to make a good business decision for their family. So I hope that will subside. But two of those folks who were asked allegedly to take a pay cut said, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I'm talking specifically about Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, two of the more beloved figures in WWE. Kofi's probably one of the more tenured figures in WWE. Once upon a time, these guys set every record as a tag team act for the longest reign. And we know Xavier Woods became king of the ring. And certainly we know Kofi, in one of the more touching moments in WWE history, became world champion. And people still point to that moment as a triumph. He had a long run. He did it all, but now it feels like all good things must come to an end. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, I guess, will be officially released in just under 90 days. And I assume will start appearing outside of the tent of WWE. Were you surprised to hear this news that Kofi and Xavier are no more?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I figured they'd just be lifers there. I really thought that, I don't know what happened with the contract from the other side. I have no idea. But these guys are betting on themselves. Good for them. I'll tell you an interesting story, or I think it's an interesting story. I love when people used to go to Vince, Vince, I got something you'll love. And Vince would, I'll be the judge of that. Like, I always love when he said that. So I don't know if it's interesting to you or not. You may hate it. You may think it sucks. And Dave Silva may go, why in the world is he telling me this shit on my birthday? I don't even want to be here. So, but I was down in Malawi and I was working with Bobasi Pride, this wonderful group, Nick Keller, big group. I'm sorry, that's Beyond Sport. Nick, guys down at BC Pride, we're building a like a school and a rugby field sports facility for a bunch of kids in Area 45 north of the Long Way. And I'm working with a bunch of kids out there one day, and they spoke Chewa, and I didn't speak very much Chewa, and they didn't speak much English. And I'm trying to communicate with them, and never did. I want to help them. We're there to help them get job skills and get educated. Hopefully get out of some of the deep poverty that they are in. It's one of the poorest areas in the world, and I can't communicate with them. Finally, one of the kids goes, Kofi? And I mean, Conrad, I'm in a place, I am probably 10 miles from a road, 10 miles from electricity lines, 10 miles from running water. There's nothing where I am. It's one of the poorest areas of the world. And I looked at this kid and I said, Kofi Kingston? It shocked me. I've told Kofi this story. And one of the other kids goes, New Day? You got to be kidding me. And because of that, I connected with them. We got some stuff. Those kids, they got about 1,000 kids in the program. And they're not because of that, but because of the wonderful people at BC Pride. But it was unbelievable to be in an area like that. And Kofi Kingston was the one person that all these kids wanted to talk about. That Kofi mania was legit. I mean, he was a freaking global superstar. So is Xavier Woods. Those guys are incredibly talented. I've worked with them a ton of times. I love working with them. They're very smart. You don't have to worry about anything with a script or throwing them off or anything. You can't throw them off. Not smart guys like that. And so if they're betting on themselves, that's what it is. Good for them. They're going to be absolutely fine because those are incredibly talented people.
I know there's a lot of people who are upset with WWE and TKO about this, and I get that because you never want to see somebody lose their jobs, but I don't want anyone to think that for whatever reason Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were singled out. There's a report that, hey, there's at least a half dozen other talent who were approached. Lots of speculation about some of the names who accepted those new contract renegotiations, if you will. But it's not just the on-camera performers. Allegedly, a fellow who worked in the television side of the business, who'd been with the company since 2001, he too was recently shown the door after 25 years of working with the company. I'm not saying that to pile on TKO. I'm just saying, John, this reads to me as almost like, hey, there was a mandate that we've got to reduce our budget in every department by X number of percentage. And inevitably what you wind up doing is you look to see, hey, where can we cut the most cost? Because you want to eliminate as few jobs as you can, but save as much money as you can. So where do you look? Maybe you don't look to your tippy top, your guys on your posters and your collector cups and your WrestleMania main events, but you probably also don't look to your younger talent that you just brought up and maybe on more reasonable contracts. You look for, hey, who are the tenured guys who maybe creatively we've sort of done everything, and because they're more tenured, they're probably earning more. We go offer them the opportunity to reconsider. I know it sucks, but it does feel like it's not unique to specific talent. It's just across the board at TKO, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's just a corporation. That's what it is. It's a corporation mindset, and they're making a ton of money. They're doing something right. And look, they don't adopt you. That's the mistake that people think that they make. Okay, because you work there, because you've been very successful, you've been paid for that. Does that mean they have to keep you for life? No, absolutely not. It doesn't. You're not adopted. You're hired. And that always comes to an end. There are guys who stay around and will be around forever, but for the most part, guys come and go. And that's just part of life. I'll tell you an interesting story, which I don't think I've ever told. I was prepping for surgery. And they're gonna quote this, and they're gonna throw him under the bus, and he doesn't deserve it. Not for this, or I don't know about for anything else. Not for this. I was prepping for surgery, and Laurinaitis calls me and says, "We want to reduce your contract." I'm preparing for her. I'm about to be out for 6 months. I'm literally in the hospital, and I had my cell phone with me. You know how if you have, I've had a bunch of surgeries. You go into surgery, and you've got your cell phone with you, but until they knock you out, and. I've learned, though, be sure to take my cell phone from me. Don't let me have it until I become completely coherent, because there's no idea what I'm going to do on it. Yeah, I've done that before, too. Laurinaitis calls me and says, hey, we want to give you – we're going to restructure your contract. They never say we're giving you a pay cut. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. I'm looking down, and I'm about to get IVs in my arm, and I'm looking down. years later, I talked to Johnny about it, and he had no idea. It just happened. But I tell you what, I was pissed off about that for quite some time because I thought it was on purpose. It turns out it wasn't. So anyway, Johnny has enough problems with people piling on him for something that wasn't his fault for people to pile on. But I've had it done too. You know, whether I was prepping for surgery or not, they told me at the time, we're going to reduce your salary. I was making good money. Bradshaw was running out. Nobody knew JBL was coming. And so they thought my career was pretty much done. And I was in that same boat, Conrad. I was in that same boat where I was making quite a bit of money and I wasn't being used that much. I wasn't the top guy and I wasn't the new guy. I'm exactly the people you're talking about. And I had the same thing done. I thought, you know what? This is the downside guarantee, which is a little bit different from now. And I thought, I don't care. Because if I deserve it, I'm going to make a lot more money. If I don't deserve it, I always thought I shouldn't get paid anyway. So it didn't really bother me. You know, it's a little bit different now because there's not downside guarantees because there are not as many house shows and pay-per-views that you can make, you know, several times your salary. I mean, I think I made at one point, good Lord, 10 or 15 times my downside guarantee when I had a big run, something like that. Because I never cared about having a huge downside because I always thought it was a meritocracy.
You know, one of the things I want to point out is, you know, one of the names that's been floated around, I don't know that it's public yet, but one of the people who agreed to a pay cut, allegedly, as the story goes, John, that person had like a $4 million a year deal, and now it's a $2 million a year deal. And I know that there's a contingent online who are like, hey, you got to stand up and do what's right. Like, do you realize what you're saying? Like, if you got a new 5-year deal at $2 million a year, who walks away from $10 million a year in the twilight of their career for, let's be honest, a much easier schedule than he originally signed up for? Like the amount of travel versus the amount of time you're home back then versus now, like the quality of life is through the roof. This is still a great deal. And I hope people will just be a little more realistic and have a little more grace. If guys are deciding, hey, you know what, that's still a pretty good deal and I'm happy here. I don't think it's our business as fans. Like, let them do what they want to do and make the decision that's best for them.
Yeah, Conrad, my first year in WWE is the only year I've actually released, you know, any numbers, and so I don't mind saying that number. I worked every single live event, I believe. I worked every single pay-per-view, I believe. I made, I think, $76,000 or something like that. I mean, and that, I know that was, you know, almost 30 years ago. I understand that, but you don't make any money when you're on the road 300 days a year, and you have to have a rental car every day. You have to have a hotel every day. You have to have food every day. I mean, you just don't make any money. And now for people to say, oh man, I don't know if I can get by off $2 million a year, which I don't hear them saying that, but you know, that's the presumption that that's what they're thinking. Good Lord, man. I mean, the real world's tough, and what they're getting paid, good for them. And if they're getting cut, look, it's traumatic, but you got to decide, okay, is it worth it to stay and take this? And remember, Connor, I've been through this before. I thought it was worth it to stay for me because I thought I've still got a chance to do something. And I did. I became JBL and made that downside guarantee that Laurinaitis gave me. That's the one I made 10 or 12x of what that downside guarantee was. I wasn't worried about it. You know, and a lot of these guys, you know, you can go out, you can make a name for yourself, or you can take guaranteed money. There's not a wrong answer.
I'm really excited to see what's next for these guys because, as a reminder, they're going to do fabulous outside of the tent in WWE. Yeah. I do realize that they've lost a little bit of leverage, and I feel like right now there's a large portion of the internet wrestling community that's understanding what leverage means. Like, if for some reason WWE hypothetically, and I'm making up numbers, this is not the number, but it's just easy for our experience here. Hey, you were making $2 million a year. And okay, well, I'll just go to AEW and make $2 million a year. Well, there's no reason for AEW to pay you $2 million a year because it's not like there's any other bidder at that price. So even if it's a half of that and it's $1 million, you're going to wind up working on Wednesdays, John.
That's right.
Which means your weekends are available.
Yeah.
Which means you can go print money on the convention circuit, and you can probably do a podcast, and you can probably do your gaming show and other outside endorsements. Like, it's not over for these guys. They're going to get to try some new things and make a whole lot of money and have a whole lot of fun. They're going to be fine, John.
Conrad, 100%. We need to have all this stuff. like back in the 90s, like when I get like a pay cut, I mean, we didn't have all this stuff. We didn't have these silly phones that you can build a brand off of. We didn't have the ability to work because the business model had changed where there's basically no live events and where you can create another business. You can actually run another business. You're home so much right now. You can start a new life because you're home so much. Use what you're getting the name off of, the money that you're making on television, because you're home most of the time. That's not a bad lifestyle. I've been the other way where guys, in my generation didn't have a lot of side stuff. And the reason was because we worked all the freaking time. And we didn't have these phones where people build brands off social media, off Instagram, off TikTok, off Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. These guys have a real opportunity here. And if you're creative, use what that is and leverage that and make you something else, because it will make you more valuable where you are as well.
We know that Xavier Woods took to social media and he wrote a beautiful message. He said, let me wind down with some advice. Do your best to live a life without regrets. Control what you can control. Always give it your all and fight hard for what you believe in. Do not ever compromise or accept less than your due when it comes to your worth. And find the courage to believe in yourself and fearlessly pursue your goals and dreams, because anything is possible. And so, as the sun sets on one chapter, so too it must rise in another. Tomorrow is indeed a new day. We're all pulling for Kofi and Xavier on the outside of WWE, whatever's next in their future endeavors.
And Conrad, these guys, this whole new day, and throw Big E in there as well. I've worked these guys a ton, and I was always kind of the foil, the heel that would, the old guy they would, play tricks on or whatever it was. I was always the fool. They were always incredibly generous. They would ask me, is this okay? Is this okay to say? These were incredibly generous guys. They were not selfish guys who got over at other people's expense. They got over because they were creative, which, I got a lot of respect for those guys. I got a lot of love for those guys. When those guys and the Usos were having battles, man, that was a pretty good time.
I got to say, I think there's a lot of people, myself included, who would have assumed, hey, if you're making great money and they come to you and they ask you to renegotiate to meet their fiscal goals and they want you to take a pay cut, that a lot of people may say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stick with the devil I know. Yeah. But to say, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to see what life is like outside of these confines of the wall. I think that's a power move. Just like hiring Morgan & Morgan is a power move. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They've got over 100 offices nationwide with more than 1,000 lawyers. Over $30 billion has been recovered for like 500,000 clients. So Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Don't take my word for it. Check out this story. In Florida, a client recently received $6.1 million. That's after the insurance company's best offer was only $100,000. Over in Georgia, another family got $29.5 million. Up in Nashville, a different client got $10.6 million. If you're injured by the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go right now to forthepeople.com/wrestle or dial pound law. That's pound 529 on your cell phone. That's FOR thepeople.com/wrestle or punch pound law. That's pound 529 on your cell phone. This is a paid advertisement. John, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I am curious. You've seen a lot of WWE contracts through the years, and I think one of the things that's giving people heartburn is that there's some misconceptions about a WWE contract. I recently talked to our gimmick attorney, Mike Dawkins. He's at Gimmick Attorney on social media, or you can go to gimmickattorney.com. He's not just helping people secure their trademarks and secure their IP and copyright things and patent law. He's actually representing talent. So he's seen some contracts from WWE and from AEW and TNA and other companies. So he's familiar with this. And I know a lot of times people sort of miscategorize and misclassify the term non-compete. In reality, they don't have a non-compete. They're still underemployed. They've been giving like a 90-day notice that, hey, these are your last 90 days. Yeah. But I think what's giving a lot of people heartburn is a lot of these talent, including those that were released a couple of weeks ago, like Aleister Black, they had a term, X number of appearances per year for X number of years in exchange for a certain sum of money. And now when the company comes back and says, hey, we know we just signed that last year, and we know you're supposed to be under contract till 2030, but it's not meeting our goals anymore. So we need to renegotiate. How does that strike the locker room, do you think? Does this affect morale, or is everybody sort of minding their own business? Once upon a time, I heard wrestlers say, hey, you never ask anybody what anybody else is being paid. Everybody just sort of keeps their head down and it's nobody's business. Do you think any of that has changed? Or when something like this happens, does everybody start to get nervous and it becomes a topic of conversation?
I think it becomes a bit of a topic of conversation, but there's nothing wrong with guys being nervous. I've been there, and I've been, flew a lot with Vince and Kevin, and got to, be part of, a lot of not a part of decisions. I don't want to overstate what I was. I don't want to embellish at all, but I got to hear a lot of things. And, sometimes, they'd say, you make a move because you want to put people on alert. Maybe you let someone go because you want to put people on alert. Sometimes people get too comfortable, and some people, it's not a kumbaya moment. You're still trying to make it in this business. And I see some of these locker rooms. There's nothing wrong with that. We had a great morale in our locker room, and a great feeling of community in our locker rooms. But I wanted somebody else's spot, and that person knew I wanted their spot, and they were fighting me to keep me from getting their spot. I mean, sometimes people get too comfortable. And so I think it's okay sometimes for people to go, you know what, they're restructuring contracts. Maybe I need to pick it up here a little bit. And by the way, I've talked with a lot of people, counseled a lot of people that have called me and asked for advice. And I always appreciate that, respect it, and the confidentiality I've always kept. But they've asked me, hey, I can take this much money from WWE for the next number of years. They're not going to use me much. Or I can go off and try to make a name for myself. And, my point is, there's not a wrong answer. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's what I want to tell all these guys and girls out there now. There's nothing wrong with taking the money. Nothing. Say, well, in 3 years, they're not going to use me. Yeah, but you're getting paid. You're taking care of your family. You put money in the bank. You're making your life better. Now, do you want to go all in? I'm one of the all in people because that's just my nature. I love putting it all on the table and just see what happens. Not everybody's that way. And some people want to go all in. Cody Rhodes went all in. Brock Lesnar went all in. They hit it big. But if they hadn't, they lose big too. I mean, with great rewards, a lot of times comes great risk, and the downside is just as bad as the upside is good. And so there's not really a wrong answer here.
Now that we understand, some of the fiscal responsibility that TKO is going to be practicing sort of top down, and they're certainly looking to, deliver the maximum shareholder value that they can. So that means, hey, let's make as much as we can by spending as little as we can. And I know that upsets some feelings, but that is the way business works. I mean, that is the very definition of business. But now with the benefit of hindsight, I can't help but take a look and wonder to myself, is that maybe why Brock Lesnar pulled his boots and gloves off in the ring at WrestleMania? Is that why we saw AJ Styles finish up at the Royal Rumble? Because these are guys who've done it all, been, in every sort of circumstance, won every championship, every type of main event. But if they're going for more of a youth movement, and Vince did this once upon a time, he was able to move on from Hulk Hogan, for goodness sake. He was able to move on from Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was able to move on from The Rock. So it's not like it can't be done.
Yeah.
But we do see like a new influx of talent, and it does feel like there's a bit of a changing of the guard. And maybe some of that is based on, hey, we were paying that when we hadn't used you before and we were trying to promote you in the main events, but now if we see you in a different role and we're not going to be using you in that same capacity, do you think those could have been connected? Do you think that has anything to do with AJ and Brock, or do you think they just made a personal decision?
I think those two made a personal decision, and again, you're the one that brought up that Brock might be negotiating, which that's great if he is. I'm such a big fan of Brock, and a big fan of guys who would be willing to do that. Like Cody Rhodes did the same thing a couple of years ago with WrestleMania and The Point. I love it. I think it's different with AJ and with Brock. I think those guys just go to the beat of their own drummer. And I don't know if Brock has retired or not. I have no idea the storyline or what's in his head or anything else. I hope he hasn't, because I like watching him. AJ Styles the same. He just goes to he's on the beat of his own drum. I think a lot of these other guys, it's very simple. When guys like Pat McAfee come in, guys like Jelly Roll come in, we had The Rock come in, we had Schwarzenegger come in. Listen, if you guys are drawing big enough ratings, they won't bring these guys in. And these guys are drawing big ratings, by the way. But if you don't have a spot for those guys, if everybody on your roster is more over than them, That's why they're coming in. Become indispensable. And this doesn't happen. Part of it is, you have to look at why you. And it's not always that something is against you. Kofi and Xavier, I think they have tons and tons of talent. They're going to be so successful anywhere. But a lot of these guys, they look around and think, why would they release me? Well, maybe you hadn't earned your keep. I don't know that. I don't know how they measure that. But I know that you don't need guys like Pat McAfee or Jelly Roll if everybody else is more over than them.
Well, it's also true that, both of these guys are going to bring potentially a new set of eyeballs, people from outside the tent. So, you can super serve the base, or you can try to, grow, new fans and get new eyeballs on your product. So I'll never be against the idea of bringing people from the outside into wrestling the way a lot of people online are. I do want to ask you, do you think, I think this is just part of it, and I'm not trying to speak ill of anybody, but once upon a time, Vince McMahon specifically, and others in WWE creative, I'm sure, saw Cody Rhodes and said, let's paint him up like his brother and call him Stardust. And they kind of had him boxed in. Their vision for what Cody was, their ceiling that they thought Cody had, was Stardust. Now he had to say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks, and go prove otherwise. And then comes back to a hero's welcome. He's reinvented himself, and now he's crushing it. That's the exact same story of Drew McIntyre, who was a member of the 3-man band. Hey, we're going to put you out here in sort of a comedy gimmick as a trio. He had to, go recreate himself. He comes back, and now he's a megastar. Do you think this is perhaps because we've seen New Day be so successful for so long that perhaps it's like creatively they're boxed in now? The audience knows them as New Day. There's an expectation for what New Day will or won't be. Like that does sort of paint you into a corner. Whereas if they pop up somewhere else, whether it's TNA or AEW or New Japan or any other walk of life, they're not going to be able to be called New Day. And Xavier Woods is going to go by Austin Creed. Kofi's going to go by Kofi something or other, I'm sure. But it has to be a little different than what their New Day presentation is. I think in the end, this could wind up being a net positive for everybody involved.
I think it's a huge net positive for everybody involved. I've been down this road before. I've seen it. I've seen this movie so many freaking times. I know these guys. These guys are unbelievably creative guys. And you tell them you can't use New Day, they'll come up with something different. You tell them you can't do this, they'll come up with something different. I can guarantee you, if they want to, that's the biggest thing. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they just want to, go off in the sunset. I doubt that's true. I hope it's not. They're going to be bigger stars in a year than they are right now. You look at what's out there. There's not a lot of things that are out there that are drawing money. I'm talking about outside of the say the big two, the big three. If you throw in TNA, AEW and WWE, those guys are going to draw money. There's some guys out there. The Hardys draw money. Dolph Ziggler, I think, draws money. There's some guys out there that do. You're adding a huge new element to that. Those guys in a year, I think, could be some of the biggest stars in wrestling, and you will see a bidding war to get those guys back.
I'm so glad you said that, because you know what immediately happens whenever you see these releases? Fans start to circle and they say, okay, the announcement was made on this day, so now let's go count 90 days so they can show up. They'll be here in time for such and such show. I almost wonder, does absence make the heart grow fonder? Do you sort of drag it out, and when everybody expects you to show up? Because, listen, I'm not trying to be critical of creative. Creative is subjective. But there was once an AEW pay-per-view where there were 3 people who debuted. So you've got 3 big jumps on the same show. Like if I was a wrestler and I don't know shit about wrestling, I think I would say, yeah, I don't want to do that. If there's 2 other people who are debuting, I want my debut to be the talk of the show. Like I don't want to be one of many. And I do feel like with this new rash of releases, if that is to be the case, even as a wrestling fan, I'd rather see them spaced out a little bit. Where would you land on that? Would you, because I understand there's a catch-22, because I'm saying that creatively, but financially, hey, I'd like to start getting paid as soon as I can. So I understand not wanting a gap, but there is a balancing act there. Where do you land on that?
I land on control your environment. And I think they're going to be able to, because I'm telling you, these guys are unbelievably creative. The stuff they've done with their video games, up, down, and all that stuff they've done, they have created a lot of this New Day persona themselves. I was in the creative meetings, or part of the creative meetings. We had creative meetings as part of the production meeting. So I got to hear part of the creative, not the creative that they had on Thursday, but the creative they had on the day of. And I'd hear them write promos for, Big E. And it's, you want to write like a Southern evangelist, one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. The river outflows the banks outflows in the city flows, it's like righteousness. And, you start putting that together, and people from the South understand that. But you had guys writing for Big E that didn't understand it. When Big E and those guys started taking ownership of it, that's when you see these guys get over like $1 million freaking dollars. And I think that's what they're going to do here. I would rather own what you do, as far as you're talking about appearing as soon as you can. I would rather own, and I don't care how big a place it is. I mean, I don't care if it's TNA, which is one of the big ones, or if it's some independent somewhere. As long as you own it, and as long as you can control it, and as long as you have the one that has the video to put out on your social media, that's what's more important, is control and getting over. And I think those guys understand that. I'm telling you, I think these two guys, out of all of these people that are not re-signing for whatever reason, they're the two that are going to be incredible stars in a year, bigger than they even are right now.
I can't argue that at all. And me and you have talked on the show and offline. You do a lot of convention appearances, and you tell me to this day, one of the biggest lines at every event you attend is the Hardy Boys.
It's unreal.
Can you imagine, even fresher off of TV, how for the first time ever, that line is going to be insane for Creed and Kofi, don't you think?
Yes. And one thing the Hardys do, which I'm such a big fan of, because I sit right beside him because we work for one of the same guys, Tony Hunter. Shout out to our guy who does a great job. So me and Ron are near them a lot. They greet every fan. Jeff Hardy draws some crazy thing on every autograph. The only reason they take so long to get through his fans, but they greet every fan. It doesn't matter if there's freaking 500 of them in line. They make every fan a personal experience. And that's one of the reasons they're so freaking popular, is because they're so personable. Kofi and Xavier are just like this. Fans are going to walk away from that. They're going to spend a ton of money at their table, and then they're going to walk away and go, man, that was freaking awesome. They did this. They did that. They told me this. They made a joke about this. They did an impersonation of this. They're going to do stuff like that. These guys are going to get over, like, I'm telling you, I'm willing to bet in almost anything on those two guys a year from now being bigger stars than they are right now.
We're recording today as a lot of the quarterly reports are coming out about WWE. We've got an update on all that, but first I want to brag about our friends over at Quince. Lately I've been more intentional about what I'm wearing day to day. I'm leaning into pieces that are easy, comfortable, but still feel put together. It just makes getting dressed simpler. Quince has become a go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are clean, and everything just works without ever needing to really overthink it. Quince has all the wardrobe staples this spring. Think 100% European linen shorts and shirts from just $34. Lightweight, breathable, and comfortable, but you still look put together. And clean 100% Pima cotton tees with a softness that has to be felt to believe. Their pants also hit that same balance, relaxed but comfortable, but still polished enough to wear pretty much anywhere. Everything is priced like 50 to 80% less than what you'd find at similar brands. Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're getting premium materials without the markup. I highly want to recommend that you go check out, and I don't know if you've done this already, the 100% merino wool all-season short sleeve base layer tee. Dude, you can wear that under a sport coat or just by itself, and it looks like $1 million, but it's like $39. Go see for yourself. You're absolutely going to love Quince. Refresh your every day with luxury you'll actually use. Head on over to quince.com/wrestle for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/wrestle for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/wrestle. So, John, you're a finance guy. I can't wait to hit you with this. Brandon Thurston is tweeting right now some of the reports from these quarterly earnings. And we're seeing the 3 months that ended March 31st, and we're getting a comparison of 2025 to 2026, and it is remarkable. The boost in live events and hospitality, they went from 76.3 in 2025 to 123.5, an incredible number. The difference for total revenue, and obviously this is in millions, In the first quarter of 2025 is 391.5. Now it's 475.7. They've increased revenue 22%. That's 84.2 million. But the biggest driver was 47.2 million increase in live events and hospitality revenue. Of course, there's a $30 million increase in media rights. Everywhere you look, man, TKO is just winning. Now, I know that a lot of times whenever this conversation happens, people immediately want to talk about contracts. Let's just take a time out about contract cuts and all that. You have been a guy who's been savvy with Wall Street and investments for a long, long time. You wrote a book called Have More Money Now. You've got a financial podcast called Have More Money Now. These are big league numbers. What do you make of this report?
Insane numbers. And if you look at what they're doing, I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. So this dynamic pricing is unbelievable. It's changed live events. The NFL was going down, I think, Australia, and they were bragging about how they sold out their tickets in an hour. And I thought, you got to fire somebody. You morons don't know how to price tickets. If you're selling out tickets in an hour, people used to brag about that. All that tells you is you have no idea what the market is because you've underpriced everything. If you're selling out a couple hours before the event starts, you priced your tickets perfectly. And that's what WWE is doing. Now, they're not always selling out, but they're getting incredible revenue for those tickets because of this dynamic pricing. But a lot of the other stuff they're doing, I mean, they're bringing in all of this different revenue into wrestling. People say, oh, that's destroying wrestling. Bullshit. I mean, come on. Hey, look, I was in pro wrestling and I was in sports entertainment. There's no comparison. And what these guys are making now, when I want a commercial during my match, by the way, internationally with all the streaming stuff, that's pretty much a North American function. But if I want a commercial on a match, yeah, if I'm getting paid double, hell yeah, I want a commercial in my match. I want several commercials in my match. I mean, look, the business has changed, and it's changed significantly for the better. I mean, people love to bitch about layoffs. They love to bitch about cutting here or there. And so what? I mean, life is not always just the sweet little road you go down and everything's hunky-dory. Shit happens. But this is a very well-run company.
Yeah, you want to talk about a safe place to invest. I would think that TKO stock is about as safe as it gets. Brandon,
holy shit. I don't know what it's up, Conrad. I've had it since the IPO. When the IPO came out, I think it was $17 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. Anyway, it came out with double the price. And I bought as many shares as I could, actually more than I probably could afford. And I thought, man, this thing's doubled. I'm selling it. I never told Vince because Vince would have got hot at guys that sold it because he wanted people to hold on to the stock. But I thought, I got to double my money here. This is awesome. So I sold it the first day right at the open. And then I bought it back later, in the teens. So I've had WWE stock a decent amount for since the teens. It's been one of my best performers, and I'm still happy with it.
It started at $17 a share on October 19th, 1999. It opened at $30.50. It finished the first day of its trading at $25.25. But as we're talking right now, and I can't believe this is real, it's $190. So $190.47 a share. If you're curious, since the TKO merger in September of 2023, it's up over 85%. So TKO knows what they're doing. You want to talk about masterful operators. This is more of that. PW Insider is actually reporting the TKO's SEC filings today include the figures about Nick Khan. And Nick Khan has sort of become the man. I don't know. If there's a Wizard of Oz, it feels like it's Nick Khan. I mean, he was the deal maker that created the opportunity for WWE to wind up on Fox with SmackDown and then everything that followed. He's the architect for a lot of this. Drew McIntyre recently referred to him as the $1 billion man on the Bobby Jones podcast, but it comes out he is going to be the president. He signed a new contract with WWE. He's going to be there through 2030. And his base salary is $2 million through this year. It'll be a base salary of $3 million next year and every year through the rest of the term. Of course, that doesn't count all of his stock options and incentives and all of that. But you want to talk about a no-brainer renewal. Like whatever TKO does, you can't let Nick Khan slip away, right?
Oh, my God. That guy, what a negotiator he is. I mean, he's unbelievable. I'd love to watch him work. I got to see Vince work. I got to see Kevin work. That was amazing. I'd love to watch Nick Khan work. I'd love to see him work a room, full of people when they're negotiating something. I'd love to see him negotiate. I mean, that guy's world class, man. They are really fortunate to have him. And this salary of his, kudos. I mean, the $2 or $3 million salary, that's nothing for an executive like that, for a company that's in the teens and billions. Now I understand all kinds of incentives, but he's got to hit those incentives. He's got to hit those marks. And if he does, he's worth every penny of it.
The revenue for the first quarter this year was $475 million. The net profit for the first quarter this year, the net profit, nearly $250 million, $249.8 million. Of course, that's not all WWE. That does lump in UFC. But the point is, TKO is on a tear, and that's something that a lot of people are going to be discussing. I think there's a report being done right now about the amount of debt that TKO is carrying. And I know that some of our listeners may not understand that, but I know there's tax advantages. I mean, the reality is you don't pay tax on borrowed money. Yep. So there is a tax strategy to leverage some stuff, take some loans. Now you've got cash, and yes, you will be paying back a little interest, but boy, it sure does beat the hell out of paying tax on it. But as the report goes, and I'll admit, I haven't thumbed through the filings on the new release today. I think they have like a $4 billion debt to service. But that's not as scary as it sounds, because we don't know all the other mechanics. There are some tax strategies. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, there's a lot of tax strategies to it. Vince took the company public in the 90s, and it was really, in my opinion, a vanity IPO. I thought it was at the time. You went on the NASDAQ first, I believe it was, and he went a year later on the NYSE. That's so you get two events. And, Vince didn't have any debt. And so there's really not a need to access public markets if you don't have debt, or you're not going to bring debt on. And so that was, it was, Vince was doing, I think, more for vanity reasons. It was for company reasons. He moved to Greenwich for, profile reasons. He had his company located where he had it for profile reasons. He wanted to be on the NYSE because of profile reasons. This is no longer the National Guard Armory wrestling or the roller derby wrestling. This was new age entertainment, which is certainly what it become. And then when they had the merger, one reason is they wanted Vince, it was UFC had a lot of debt. Now, I don't know how much of that came over, but what you're talking about as far as it was all manageable, by the way. Dana White is, good Lord. I want him to teach me baccarat, by the way. He plays $500,000 hands. He doesn't play blackjack anymore. It's a separate, complete issue, but I want to learn baccarat now, because I heard that about him, because it's supposed to be so much of a better game. But a lot of your debt is managing taxes and how you can handle that. And there's a reason not to pay off that debt. And that's what the position that they're in right now. They got so much cash. They could pay off this debt if they wanted to. I think they're choosing not to, and that's probably for tax reasons.
Well, I can't wait to see where all of these numbers land, because I know that it's going to continue to be a conversation, but it is good for the wrestling business. And I know sometimes people sort of debate and disagree with that, but if WWE is doing really, really strong business, a lot of the people on the outside of the bubble, they sort of conflate wrestling and WWE almost like they're interchangeable terms. The way we would refer to a tissue as a Kleenex or a soda as a Coke. I think for a lot of people in the mainstream, wrestling is WWE. So for WWE to be really, really strong, and it certainly looks like their financials are strong and their media presence is strong, I still feel like that's good for sports entertainment as a whole, whether you're AEW, TNA, New Japan, or anyone else.
Of course it is. And Conrad, I eat predominantly at sports bars because I like the food and I like to watch television. It's got bet on all the games. It is amazing how many promos ESPN has for wrestling, and it's all WWE. It's unreal. And so, of course, it's going to be associated. I mean, WWE is now just associated with wrestling. No offense to AEW or TNA or anybody else, but it's when you see it all the time like that, that's how the association becomes. But it's great for wrestling. I mean, you look at it with Netflix, with what they're doing, with Seth Rollins being involved in so many different broadcasts. He does a great job, by the way. But he's involved because they're also producing and putting WWE on their shows. I mean, this is unbelievable presence in the history of wrestling. I don't think there's ever been a time where the stars of WWE or wrestling are on more different platforms and are worldwide stars than they are right now.
I totally agree. I was actually talking with Eric Bischoff about that earlier today. Like, there's different reports out there. Who knows what you can ever believe? And there is one negative Nancy out there that says that, oh, WWE must have disappointed ESPN with their numbers, and ESPN's not happy with the deal they gave them. So now they're having to full court press all the coverage. By the way, who loses in that deal? I mean, this is a stroke of genius. If you're Nick Khan, like, it is a home run to get guaranteed revenue from ESPN and to have your product featured on the ESPN Unlimited app. But the added value there is it almost guarantees that ESPN is going to overdose your audience on promoting those events. They want to ensure their success. And the way to do that is to hammer it with promotion. Now, we all sort of expected a full court press for WrestleMania, and we got it. But I did not expect to wake up on a Wednesday morning and see Paul Heyman on ESPN shilling Backlash this weekend. We're in the middle of the freaking NBA playoffs right now, and we're talking about Backlash this weekend on ESPN. Like, that's added value that you almost can't buy, John.
You can't buy it. No, you can't. It's you could. You have enough money. You have Elon Musk money. You could buy it. With right, but you not realistically. No, I'm sitting there watching ESPN. They're talking about the NBA playoffs, and they got Tampa this and Tampa that. They all talk about Backlash. It's unbelievable how much they are promoting. And Conrad, I tell you, we were back in Dallas back in the early 90s. We got in the sports page. Again, we've been in before wrestling there, but it's like just a little line, like Black Bart lost to or JBL, John Hawk lost to Black Bart. That's all it was, just a little bitty line, a little blurb. And guys were so excited about that, going, oh, man, it gives us credibility. And it was just a little bitty blurb. Now you have all these great stars on ESPN, Stephen Smiths, the Pat McAfee's, all of your great commentators, your personalities talking about wrestling, and not just talking about wrestling, trying to get some quick notes. They know the product. They appear at the shows. It's unbelievable what's going on right now in pop culture with wrestling and with WWE.
Yeah, high fives all around. Hey, I do want to ask you about something that happened this past week. We saw last week on NXT a big fella debut that we've only seen in the UK. We knew him there as Will Cruz, but now we found out this week on NXT he's got a new WWE name, Mason Rook. This is a guy who first went viral last year for an incredible moveset, and I think a lot of people saw some of these clips of these really innovative in-ring maneuvers that he could put together. And for those of you who've kept up with the UK independent scene, he's been tearing it up over there. He was on John Cena's radar. He's continually pushing him on social media, but there are critics who are critical of his physical appearance and say that, hey, this guy doesn't look like a wrestler or whatever. And I think you and I have been wrestling fans since the King Kong Bundy days. So I asked myself, what are we talking about right here? Doesn't look like a wrestler. Have you seen any of Will Cruz? And what do you think about Mason Rook in NXT?
I think Mason Rook's awesome. And by the way, King Kong Bundy felt about the little guys like I felt about him. I hit him with trash cans. He dropped elbows on him. So kudos to King Kong Bundy for trying to rid the world of people like Hornswoggle. I think that's a wonderful humanitarian effort. He should get a Nobel Peace Prize for what he did at WrestleMania to those little guys. But look, this stuff about the bodies. Look at Dusty Rhodes. Are you kidding me? Look at Dick Murdoch. It's a different time. Yeah. But look at guys without traditional bodies. Look at Kevin Owens. Look at Mick Foley. They got decent bodies, but they're not bodybuilders. Get over like $1 million freaking dollars. Can you get over? That's all that matters. Does a body help you? Absolutely. Be able to walk out with that great Sid Vicious type looking body. Oh my God, of course. Everybody'd love to have that. But can you work? If you can work, you can get over. I mean, look at Dusty Rhodes. Nobody's ever going to put him in a bodybuilding contest, and that man could fill arenas.
There's no doubt about that. Dusty Rhodes knew how to make you feel. He knew how to emotionally connect. And I think on some level, that's going to be the secret sauce of Mason Rook. I feel like to a large part of the audience, he represents their everyman. I think that was some of the charm of Dusty Rhodes. If I'm, a fan in the stands in 1983, I may say to myself, I don't know that I can look like Nikita Koloff or Hulk Hogan, but Dusty Rhodes, well, he feels like a buddy of mine, and he just rolled off a bar stool, and he's a badass. I hope that that's the same with Mason Rook. And I know that maybe Booker T got a little bit of unfair criticism when he said, hey, I thought that was a fan on commentary. I think that's the point, that he looks like, hey, he's one of us, and he's in there kicking ass. that makes you want to pull for that guy. It feels relatable, right?
People love picking on Booker, don't they?
I do.
Booker's awesome. Booker's a national treasure. He's like Gerald Briscoe. He's a freaking national treasure. I'll stick up for Booker 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. I think Booker's awesome. I've always have. But yes, look, these guys have it. If you can get over, you can get over. I just saw the Creed brothers, who, by the way, are incredible athletes. Different type of look. I just saw them that working heel down in Mexico. Good God, man. These guys, wow. Those guys, they're fun. They're fun to watch. They got a new Galeno down in Mexico, big baby face, Dr. Wagner's brother. I mean, there's some guys out there, and not a terrific body. He's not a bodybuilder. He's just a big dude and can work. You know, if you can work, you can get over. And it's that simple.
I can't wait to see what's next for Mason Rook. And I agree with you on Booker T. I think these guys who give awards like worst commentator of the year, we should eliminate awards like that. First of all, why does an award like that exist? That's just negative, and we don't need it in wrestling. But more importantly, I love his enthusiasm. I like that it's a little silly. Like a man who can get right on camera and yell "shucky ducky quack quack." Sign me up for that. I want
Booker's fun. I mean,
Yes.
Booker's always been fun. I had a dance contest with him at the WrestleMania after party one time. Booker's one of the best guys there is. He's one of the best guys on the whole freaking planet. And I want a commentator out there that enjoys what he's seeing. You know, it's like when Michael Jordan was on top of the world. You know, you paid a lot of money to go see him. Michael Jordan was the best in the world, but with his tongue hanging out and then flying through the air, you're going, my God, man, this guy loves what he's doing. People relate to that, and it draws you to that. When Booker's sitting there going shucky ducky quack quack and all this crazy stuff he says, he's having fun. And when he's having fun, it's infectious. That's what you want from a commentator. And all that bullshit about worst commentator, they can shove that up their ass.
No, I agree. I mean, it's weird because the people who are often trying to be, you know, body positive and all inclusive, then they want to tell us who the worst commentator. It's like, what are we doing? Like, either we're going to be this safe celebratory space or we're not. But Booker T, what I love about him most of all is, and I really like this in a character. I've told you before, one of my favorite television wrestlers is Mark Briscoe on AEW because he can do everything from the silly to the serious. And I think Booker T could too. Like Booker T could do super silly. When he was doing the King stuff, he made it work. It was awesome. When he was whipping people's ass in TNA and doing commentary while he's beating them up.
That was awesome.
Amazing. But he could also do serious. Like, are you telling me in real life, if Booker T got really pissed, he couldn't turn it on like that and everybody shit their pants? Like, he has that air of credibility. And I think that's unique to guys like Booker. And I love it in him.
I think it is too. You know, Booker's a big guy, you know, and good looking, you know, body, good looking frame, good looking everything, you know, but he's a legit tough dude, man. I mean, Booker's a badass, but he can, that stuff he does with the comedy. Oh my God. When he was the king and he had Queen Charmel, I mean, Booker was freaking off the chart. He was so freaking good at what he did. That's why I love his commentary, because it's just insane. You know, he can call a match. He knows he's had thousands of matches. He knows how to call a match, but he can also just be entertaining. And when you're calling match after match after match, I mean, there are times, Conrad, when you're calling a match and you want to stay out of the way. You know, when a match is really good, you know, it's like when they make the call, do you believe in miracles? You know what he did right after that? He laid out for a minute and a half, you know, and let it breathe. You know, there are times when you have something incredible that happens and you want to let it breathe. You want to let it live on its own. And there's art to that. But then there are times, Conrad, when you're calling matches, some of these matches suck. And you're sitting there and you got characters that don't really have any background, characters that don't really have any personality. You're trying to make stuff up for them. That's when you got to be entertaining. And that's when Booker comes up with the shucky ducky quack quack and all the crazy stuff he does. There's a reason for it. You know, sometimes you've got to cover for what you're watching. And I think Booker does a great job at that.
And respectfully, where does he do it? He does it on the developmental show for the talent that need the support the most. But a lot of people who don't understand it don't get that. But everybody's not going to go out there in their third match on TV and it be a 5-star classic. So you need a little help. You need somebody like Booker T to help make those moments special and magical. And, you know, some of those moments we want to memorialize forever. I know we've all got something like that in our life, and we usually think about sharing those moments with mom just in time for Mother's Day. I want you to know about Aura Frames. Now, a lot of us don't live close to our mom, so we might not be celebrating with mom this weekend, but you still got to get mom a Mother's Day gift. And I want you to get her something that she'll never forget. Pop quiz hot shot. What'd you get mom for Mother's Day last year? I bet you don't remember, and I bet even worse, she doesn't remember either. I want you to capture the magic of y'all's relationship and celebrate that with great memories with Aura Frames. It's a fantastic product. I have used this with my mother-in-law. I've made sure that I've gifted this to a great aunt. It's a great way to stay connected, especially if you're long distance, but also too, to sort of relive mom's magic every day. There's probably a photo of your family, maybe with your mom or just of your mom, that always makes you smile. There's a candid shot maybe you took of her that she doesn't even remember. And I bet she has shots like that of you. But what about through the week? What about just daily life? How do we keep in touch and share those moments in real time as they happen? Well, you do it with Aura Frames. They've got free unlimited storage. You can add as many photos and even videos, as many as you want. You can even preload photos before it ships. But here's the best part. You can keep adding these photos anywhere, anytime. It's a great way to stay connected, whether she lives up the street or across the country. You can personalize your gift too. You can even add a message before it arrives. It all comes with a gift box. It's included. Every frame comes packaged in a premium gift box with no price tag. And you can share your photos and videos effortlessly. You do this by downloading the Aura app. It's free, or you can text photos straight to the frame. By the way, it's a top-rated app. It actually reached #1 in the App Store on Christmas Day this past year, and we know why. Because moms love it. It brings families together, and that's what mom really wants this Mother's Day. Make Mother's Day special with Aura Frames. It was named #1 by Wirecutter, and you can save on the gift that moms love by visiting auraframes.com. Right now, for a limited time, just because you listen to this podcast, you can get $25 off their best-selling Carver mat frame when you use the code Wrestle. That's AURA frames.com. Use the promo code Wrestle. Support the show and mention us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. John, let's talk a little bit about Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and Conrad, before you do, if you don't mind, you brought up the Aura Frames. My sister has that. They're fantastic, actually.
Yes.
But it also brought up Mother's Day, and I want to bring up something. If I can just be serious for just a minute here, I want to talk to all the wrestling fans out there. A lot of things you don't know about your mama. Your mama was a wrestling fan, most likely, and she was a JBL fan. I mean, she wanted to. Let's be basic, and be honest. She wanted to ride the cowboy. And so you got Mother's Day coming up. Make your mom happy. She married somebody that she probably didn't want to, your dad, but that's okay. She's staying with her. She's staying with him. Get your mom a cameo from JBL and watch her turn giddy like a little teenager seeing Elvis again for the first time. Just something you can do for your mom out there. Just something that you can do for something I'm doing for the world. So you're welcome.
John, are you saying my mama wants a JBL cameo for Mother's Day?
Yeah, I wasn't talking directly about your mama, but yes, your mom would love a cameo from JBL. Yeah, just like a little cameo. Like she probably saw me on television, thought, man, that dude is smoking freaking hot. Wow, ooh, man, what I can do with him. But not your mom, not your mom, but get her a cameo. She'd be very, very happy. In fact, probably giddy is what I would say.
Well, hang on, John. Like, you've met my mama, and if I want you to send a message to my mom, I got to go to Cameo and order a cameo for my mama.
It'll just be easier that way. That way she can have it on file, and that way she can play it over and over and over. Like in times when she's like, yeah, do I really want to go out and do yard work? Do I want to watch television, or do I want to watch my cameo from JBL, that heartthrob, for the 1,038th time?
Why is she watching it so many times, John? And why is she watching it over and over?
Because it's going to be very entertaining. It's going to be really entertaining. I'm really good at doing these cameo stuff. I've got like 100% like 5-star reviews. Like my Meltzer matches. Like I have 5-star matches I had all my whole career. In fact, that's all I had. I had a few. Like I had one 11-star match.
Yeah, I know you were telling me the other day that you thought the star ratings from Meltzer were cumulative. So if you kept getting quarter stars, eventually you'd build up enough and you would actually have the 5 stars. Like
Yeah,
Pokemon,
so
you're trying to collect them all.
yeah, I had like 40 matches, and then you added up all the stars that Meltzer gave me. I had like 38 and a third stars.
There you go. That actually may be a new piece of merch. JBL, the first ever 38 and a third star.
38 and a third stars. That's right. From Meltzer. That's right.
So cameo.com and then just search for John Layfield. Is that how
I think that's how you do it. John Layfield on there, and just order a cameo for your mom. She'll be so happy. She'll be the happiest you've ever seen her.
Do you record these in private, or is your wife in the room when you're recording these?
No, I record them down here in my basement. My cat, Baby Briscoe, who's named after Briscoe, he helps me some. He holds the
He holds the camera. Yeah.
Holds the camera.
Yeah. I think we should move on. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Roman Reigns. I don't know if you saw, but he was advertised on some international shows in June, and now he's not. Now, this has led to a bunch of speculation. Oh, is he one of the guys getting a pay cut? I doubt it. Perhaps it's the idea that he usually flies private, and flying back and forth to Europe over and over again will make a P&L turn red in a hurry. So maybe that's it. I don't know for sure. But there is no denying it's added some speculation and some stakes and some heightened interest in his title match with Jacob Fatu tomorrow. I know you have no inside knowledge. We don't know what's going to happen. If you were a betting man, would you bet that we have a new WWE champion come Sunday morning, or will Roman retain?
I think we're not. In fact, I got to meet. I think the first time I met Jacob, I was so happy. I was so surprised. What a freaking worker that guy is, man. I'm a big fan of Jacob. I've said that forever. I'm just such a big fan of his. Got to meet him at the World there with Fanatics and stuff. Sitting there with Rikishi, and Jacob came up and said hi. I was really happy to meet him. Look, I don't think so. I mean, I think Roman's the guy. They've gone to such extremes. The stuff he's done getting up to WrestleMania to get here. Now, if there is an issue, which I have no idea if there is or not, then yeah, they're going to switch the title. And then we know there is an issue. But I don't think there is. But we will certainly find out Sunday. I don't think they're going to switch it unless there's an issue. I think Jacob Fatu is going to be champion one day. I just don't think it's this day. But I don't think they're going to switch it unless there's an issue.
I can't wait to see what they do this weekend. It's probably a match I've looked forward to more than any other in quite a while. I mean, the idea that Jacob Fatu is wrestling Roman Reigns feels make-believe. Just a few years ago, maybe at the peak Bloodline, I was doing a podcast with Kevin Sullivan, and we would talk about Jacob Fatu every single week, and it was almost a daydream that he would ever have this opportunity. Well, dreams come true this Saturday, tomorrow, on pay-per-view. Of course, you can watch on Netflix throughout the rest of the world, but here in America, North America at least, you can check it out on ESPN, on the ESPN Unlimited app. You're going to get a couple of free matches, including Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins on ESPN2, and then you get 3 matches on the PLE, ESPN Unlimited. And they've started the shows earlier, John. What do you think of that? Like, once upon a time, it felt like it was always 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Now it's like 6 Eastern, 5 Central. We're getting our wrestling done a lot earlier. Like by 8 o'clock, we're done here in the Central Time Zone. What do you make of this earlier start time?
I think it's a great idea. I thought it was a great idea. A couple of times back in the day, we had tried something like that. I always thought we should go earlier with these times. I always thought it was too late. Kids, even though it's Saturday and most of these pay-per-views, you don't want to have these things or Sunday. You don't want to have these things too late, for kids. And so I think it's a great idea. And by the way, you better call the Tampa Bay Sheriff, because these boys are going to steal the show. I have a feeling that Roman is going to work his ass off. I guess that's his cousin, Jacob. I think it's his cousin, right?
Yeah, they're related. Yes, sir.
So, I think he's going to work his ass off with Jacob Fatu, as Roman does with everybody. I thought his match with CM Punk, he worked his ass off, and they were fantastic. But I think they're going to steal the freaking show. I think it was San Antonio. I've said this before when Umaga and Cena had that match, and I wasn't doing the commentary. I remember just taking off the headsets, and I was sitting out there inside the bowl with, I guess, Michael Cole, and JR and King were calling it. I remember watching it going, God, that's why I love wrestling, man. It was that freaking good. And Jacob reminds me of Umaga. I think he's maybe even a little better athlete. But, man, I think this is going to be one hell of a match. I don't know if they'll get 38 1/3 stars, but it's going to be a good match.
There's no doubt it's going to be a great match. The match you were referencing, I believe, was Last Man Standing, Umaga John Cena, Royal Rumble 2007. Go check it out. I'm sure it's online somewhere. Speaking of online somewhere, I don't know that you saw this, but as we're recording yesterday, it was Tuesday, WWE uploaded what they called a Hulk Hogan mixtape. It was like 4 hours, but there was a lot of behind the scenes, including the now infamous black and white 3-man band of Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan when they were first creating the NWO right after the turn, call it late July, early August of 1996. And you could literally see Hulk Hogan developing that Hollywood Hogan character in front of you. He would start sentences and not finish them and say, all right, that didn't go anywhere. Let me start again. It was an unbelievable look at how the sausage is made and developing what I think is one of the greatest bad guy characters of all time. And I want to recommend that everybody go check it out. Of course, if we could show you clips here, we would, but look for that WWE Vault mixtape on Hulk Hogan. I bring this up though, because it proves that even when you're Hulk Hogan and you've drawn all that money through Hulkamania and the golden era of WrestleMania and rock and wrestling and everything that followed, it still takes some reps. Drew McIntyre did a podcast earlier this week with Bobby Bones, and they talked about house shows, and he broke out some facts in his opinion. And I want your opinion. See if you agree or disagree. He said, these days I wrestle one match every couple of months. They finally eliminated most of the non-televised shows. One, the talent was just getting hurt all the time and going out of the biz quicker. And two, from a profit standpoint, it just didn't make sense. House shows never made sense to me, profit-wise. So now the money's in the TV deals and all the other massive deals that the billion-dollar man, Nick Khan, is constantly making. So because I'm wrestling once every 2 months, every 3 months, I do feel like I've been in a car crash after the matches, and I train for each match now. Like I assume a boxer would train for a fight. UFC fighter would train for a fight. I train for each pro wrestling match. Boy, that is an about face from the way the business used to happen. It is the reality of today. But there are promoters out there like Jeff Jarrett and Scott D'Amore and others who feel like the house show business is necessity. You know, you need these reps in order to become a polished in-ring performer, to try things, to have the ability to fail and to not be in front of a global audience and a part of the permanent record. But this does feel like a corporate business decision. You're going to run a P&L, and hey, they're not as profitable. Okay, let's maximize profit. Where do you stand? You know, the Jeffs and the Scott D'Amores of the world say, I don't know if this is good for wrestling, but I understand it's good for business. You see it both ways, I'm sure. Where do you land, John?
Yeah, you know, back in the day, we used to run a lot of cities, but to benefit our television products. You know, so we would run a lot of places and be to promote a local TV station. You know, we'd run some small towns, different places. We were running a lot of shows, but we'd run something and we'd ask why, and it's because they had a new TV deal or something, because you had all kinds of different deals around the country and around the world. We go and support, you know, when we had a good TV in Germany, we did great in Germany, same in Italy or the UK. We had bad TV deals. We didn't draw any, you know, hardly anything. It was all dependent on, a lot of it was dependent on television. That was one reason why we ran some of the towns in certain markets. You know, but the other reason was, you know, we made money off these things. It's different now. These guys are making so much money now. You know, now they're some of these live events. I've heard some of the numbers, and they're incredible. I mean, they're they're absolutely incredible. The business has changed. Now you got to have great producers, because great producers are now becoming so important. We didn't have to have producers because we were having matches every single night. So Lanza would come to you, what do you want, Jack? Get him over, slip on a banana peel, whatever it is. That's all you know. How long do you need? 14 minutes, whatever it is. You know, that's all you'd say. Now producers, that's why guys like Finley and guys like Jamie Noble, guys like Adam Pierce, guys that they have in all their different companies and iterations of their companies are so important, because these guys are not doing house shows. You know, we were up in, it was Edmonton or Calgary, and that's when Scotty Too Hotty did the Worm for the first time. And we had no idea what he's doing. The place went nuts. He was just doing some crazy thing. All of a sudden, he ended up with something that he's made a living off of for the last 30 years. But if he hadn't had a house show to try that, he would have never done it. So he tried something. You try stuff at house shows all the time. I used to always do different promos every single night in the house shows because with the live mic, I'd cut the promo. I wanted to see what worked and what didn't. I would have different matches every single night because I wanted to see what worked and what didn't. You don't have that opportunity now. And so it's hard on these guys. And that's why producers have gotten so important.
Let's talk a little bit about WrestleMania. You know, there's a lot of discussion about where WrestleMania 2028 is going to be. We know next year WrestleMania is in Saudi Arabia. That's been a source of some criticism for sure, but I'm sure the bag has been guaranteed. Nick Khan was at the helm negotiating that one, so I'm sure it'll be the most successful WrestleMania of all time. But where is 2028 going to be? Even during the town hall, we saw Nick Khan tease, wait until you see what we're doing in 2028. There's a report from Brian Alvarez, and Brandon Thurston has confirmed it, that Nashville is throwing their hat in the ring, allegedly offering $3.5 million as a site fee. I'm sure there's tax advantages as well. But the way Nick teased, wait until you see, that makes me think that there's going to be something different. So about a week ago, John, I jumped on social media and I said, hey, I have zero information, but maybe a light bulb moment realization. What's better than one site fee for WrestleMania? 2. What if perhaps they did an international WrestleMania, thinking like a London, and a Nashville WrestleMania, not on separate weekends, on the exact same weekend? You could take over all of European television and all of American television. You could get paid bukus of money. I'm sure the municipalities would want some sort of exclusivity. If I was Nashville, I wouldn't want to know that they're going to run one night here and another in Cleveland. But if there's one night here and one across the pond, so to speak, I could see that. We know Nashville is going to be installing or finished by that point their brand new stadium. I'm sure it's going to be state of the art, billions of dollars. But we know that London has always been a mega market for wrestling. That's been proven time and time again. I'm not saying necessarily London, but somewhere international. And I do think that the roster is large enough where you could give enough that fans don't feel cheated. But I also know that it would create some opportunities for the things that people maybe are frustrated about right now. I don't know. It feels like it could be a no-brainer to try it again. And when I suggested this on Twitter last week, I got some boo birds and critics who said, oh, it works so well for WrestleMania 2. Comparing the way the world is in 1986 with 2026 is a little silly. It's not even close to the same thing. But I do want to ask, what do you think? Will we see a WrestleMania that exists on 2 continents over the same weekend? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. Now, are you suggesting there was a simulcast of the same shows at the same time in different continents, like WrestleMania 2? Or are you suggesting it's going to be on different nights?
Well, it's already on different nights. So, you know, it was born out of the 2-night WrestleMania was born accidentally with the pandemic. You know, we were all shut in, and so it became, all right, well, we'll just do 2 nights. And so from that, now it's become a tradition. Hey, why would we have one great gate if we can have 2 great gates?
Yeah.
Well, you could still have 2 great gates, and you wouldn't have, like, I can be honest, if I was a family on a budget and I was taking kids to WrestleMania, I might say, hey, kids, we're not going to both nights of WrestleMania, so pick which night you want to go to. That I wouldn't necessarily be faced with that option of, oh, I picked the wrong show and the kid really wanted to go to that one or whatever it may be. We're not going to freaking England. We're going to Nashville. So we're going to go to the Nashville WrestleMania. So I feel like if you could do like a Saturday afternoon London show, that would be Saturday afternoon our time, but it could be Saturday evening in London. And then the next day we could do our Sunday Nashville WrestleMania. But that would give me a real opportunity to space out things like the Hall of Fame, an NXT Super Show, all your other supporting shows that happen. You could have a world display, you know, for the world to enjoy in Europe, and you could have one here in America. Maybe I'm wrong in overthinking this, but it does feel like you wouldn't cannibalize and force your audience. Hey, do you pick this show or that show? Why not have 2 sellouts? Because I think that's been a problem this past year is which night do we pick if we can't do both? But I think you could super serve an American audience and a European audience. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I thought all along when they announced Saudi Arabia that they could possibly have two type of WrestleMania events. I didn't think maybe back-to-back nights. I think that works, but I think you may call it something different. You have a big show in the United States, a big show in Saudi or whatever it is, because the American audience and people who travel to America, which includes the Europeans that might not travel to Saudi Arabia. It's a long way. Not talking about anything about politically about Saudi Arabia. It's just a long way from there. They're used to coming to the United States. Would want to come here for that. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense to do something in a city that wherever that is. And if you're running it two different nights and you're not using any talent between the two, you don't have to fly them back and forth. I mean, obviously you're going to have guys like Triple H and Bruce and Nick Khan, and these guys are probably going to be on a charter flight and fly all night to get to the other event, the second night to run it. But I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of, it's not going to be dependent on being, say, in the UK, if talent is not interchangeable. So you can run something. I mean, you can run Mumbai, you can run Sydney, you can run Tokyo, you can run so many different places. You can run somewhere down in Rio, somewhere down in South America. I mean, I think, and you can make it a really cool event. Make the FanFest, wherever the WrestleMania is. So you have two different FanFest.
Yes.
You have two different everything. I mean, and now it's not a matter of you're splitting the revenue because you're in two different places. You're potentially doubling the revenue because you're in two different places.
And not to betray any confidences, I don't even think they have to worry about chartering management back and forth. I mean, you and I both know that there's been times where Hunter was out and Bruce ran the show and vice versa. So I think because you have both guys who are capable of covering for the other one in that guerrilla position, I think it's possible. We'll see what happens, but here's what we know. They're going to report record revenues and we're going to have fun watching it. And I always have a little more fun watching it with my friends from Mood. I don't know if you're in the loop on this, John, but Soul's new Mood gummies are a home run. Specifically, I want to brag about the out of office THC gummies. It's been an absolute game changer in my household. I've tried a few different brands. This is the one that I stick with. It's in my cabinet right now. But now they've launched something brand new to brag about, the Mood gummies. If you're wanting to talk about socializing, winding down, just living life, instead of defaulting to a drink and hoping for the best, why not choose Soul's new Mood gummies? If you need a little spark or something to settle you down or something just to get into bed and float off peacefully into your evening sleep, Mood gummies can nail it. They've got something for everybody, whether it's pick me up, wind me down, or something in between. I absolutely love this because a lot of people are intimidated by these products, John. They don't know what to expect. But Soul is a wellness brand that makes delicious, and I mean delicious, hemp-derived CBD and THC products designed to make feeling good simple. Mood gummies have precise dosing. They've got clean ingredients and formulations designed for predictable effects. If you're looking for that bright, social, energizing buzz, look no further than Uplift. It's only 3 milligrams of sativa, THC, plus CBG. That's perfect for your daytime plans or beating that afternoon slump. I may or may not have had one before we clicked record this afternoon. When it's time to wind down, the Mellow gummies are going to deliver 3 milligrams of indica THC plus CBN. That's ideal for those cozy nights and fully unplugging. My man Cassio may or may not take one of those before he goes to a Dave & Buster's. And if you're looking for that just right anytime vibe, I want to recommend Soul's Balance. That's 3 milligrams of hybrid THC and CBD. It's easy, it's versatile, and it's perfect when you're listening to your favorite podcast or recording one. These are 3 moods that are 3 intentionally crafted formulas, but the same great taste. Whatever the moment, there's a Soul Mood gummy to match. Make today a good day and get yourself some Soul gummies. Right now, Soul is offering our listeners 30% off your entire order. Go right now to getsoul.com and use the code WRESTLE. That's getsoul.com with the promo code WRESTLE, and you'll get 30% off. Hey, speaking of having fun at Dave & Buster's, we're about to debut a pretty fantastic episode of Curtain Jerkers, and I want to give everybody a heads up that we're going to be traveling. We're on the road this weekend to the suburbs of St. Louis. We're going to SICW FanFest 4. This is all happening as a part of the Wrestling at the Chase Memorial It's the Bruiser Brody 4th Memorial. A who's who of wrestling legends are going to be here. The Powers of Pain, Warlord and Barbarian are going to be here. Bobby Fulton's here. Carlito's here. Haku's here. Dan Severin's here. Mickey James, the Rock and Roll Express, Kerry Morton, Jack Doan. How about Buff Bagwell's going to be in the house? So will D'Lo, Doink, Paul Ellering, Haku, and man, I can't wait. Somehow, some way, Mick Foley, JBL, and the Brooklyn Brawler. You want to talk about a Mount Rushmore? Everybody who's seen pro wrestling, here they are. These are the legends we grew up with. You've got all their action figures. Now you can come out and get your autographs. You can get your pictures. And you're going to see our man Dylan roaming around with a camera. We're going to be on location filming some curtain jerkers. And we're looking for fans to have some fun. So if they see you or if they see Dylan with a camera, they need to come say hello, don't they, John?
Absolutely. Come say hello. Come say hello and tell us what you like about the show. I got so many people coming up when I was out in Vegas telling me the Bradshaw 316. So I really appreciate all that. Thank you guys for coming out. Demolition is going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Herb Simmons runs a heck of a show. Got a little wrestling show on Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's happening at the Radisson Hotel and Convention Center in Fairview Heights. You can get your tickets right now at sicw.org. That's Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, sicw.org. It's happening this weekend. That's tomorrow. Or actually, I'm sorry. That's today as you're listening, and tomorrow. You don't want to miss the FanFest. You don't want to miss the wrestling show. You don't want to miss Mick Foley's one-man show tonight right here in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Tickets on sale now at sicw.org. John, you guys recorded something with a very special guest for Curtain Jerkers. And somewhere along the way, you went to a Dave & Buster's. And this might actually be the most fun episode of Curtain Jerkers so far. I can't wait for fans to check it out. Take a look and stay tuned. John and Cassio coming right back.
We're going to play some games. I didn't bring my wallet, and I know you never have yours, so we're going to find one of the fans, hopefully that will pay for our tokens.
We're going to mooch off somebody.
Yeah. If they want a picture, they have to give you tokens to play, right?
We play for tokens.
We play for tokens.
Kid and I play for tokens.
All right, we'll be right back as we're dominating all the games.
We're going to find somebody dumb enough to give us tokens.
Sir, do you have $10?
All right, token.
Don't know what he's doing. We robbed him.
I'm going to drop kick Sonic so all of his coins fall out. Wait right here. I'm about to boot his blue ass. I got a card.
It's Cassio, JBL, Jimmy Wang Yang, finding out who's the true skee ball god. 10,000! Yeah! Oh yeah! Jimmy's not doing good. He's trying to block! I'm out! Here we go! Let's see you what! You see who has the biggest gang here, right? The biggest gang!
He's good with balls.
Oh yeah. We should have known he was good with balls.
Yeah. So Wang Yang, 6'7". That's a new thing, Wang Yang.
I'm glad to hear how good you guys are with balls.
How do you feel you were last? We thought you were the skee ball guy, and you were last
I
place.
didn't realize you guys were so good at handling balls.
Basketball guy.
Oh, I am the
Are you the basketball
guy?
guy?
Oh, yeah. You might as well call me Jack.
Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, our video game partner from today. Welcome in. How would you intro him? You know him. You're friends with him.
He is what happens if Michael Hayes and Mr. Fuji has a son. He is Jimmy Wang Yang.
Yeah! My man!
Jimmy Wang Yang.
Hell yeah!
Oh, thank you.
Long hug. Very long hug.
Yes.
How we doing, man?
Good, man. I'm good. Curtain jerkers, like jerking the curtain. I thought y'all talking about watches and murders. I thought we were talking about jerking
Jerking what?
Jimmy's, Wang,
Wang?
or Yang's. So yeah, wrestler. You know, I was named after 3 penises.
Is Jimmy for the name for a penis?
I've had a lot of conversations with humans in my life. None of them went, hey, you might know me. I've been named after 3 penises.
Yeah. You're Jimmy.
Jimmy.
You're Wang.
Wang and Yang.
And you're Yang.
Yep. And then we're on curtain jerkers. We're supposed to talk about jerking.
Jerking curtains. Jimmy Wang Yang, 3 penis man.
Yes.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you
How do you 2 guys know each other?
doing?
I'm what's called a commentator.
I heard you did that a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times.
He's the greatest commentator of all time.
Yes. Yes.
No.
The reason why Jimmy Wang Yang got over is because of JBL.
Yeah!
And in wrestling and WWE, like sometimes, you know, I told him backstage, it's like sometimes you're wrestling for an audience of 1. You guys know who that is? No, Vince McMahon or Kevin Dunn. And I think they booked me so much because they wanted to hear what JBL would say about me.
And all I did was set the table. Now, Jimmy delivered like you have to do, and that's up to his talent. But I set the table for him. He delivered.
And he never offended me. I know a lot of Asian people. Like I do know Asian people, and they were offended about it. It's like I know.
I've offended a lot of people over the years.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's doing, and he's just trying to get me over. And even, you know, he would say, "Hey, if Michael Hayes and Mr. Fuji banged each other and they had a baby, it would be Jimmy Wang Yang." You know. But then when I would hit the moonsault, he was like, "Oh, that's like Gray Louganis coming off the high dive. Haven't seen a backflip since the Olympics." And then he'd put me over like $1 million, and like I owe John so much. Like I really credit Jimmy Wang Yang's character from JBL. Like
We had a lot of fun.
John, what do you?
wait, before that, you know, like, but Bradshaw hit me the hardest I've ever been hit in wrestling in my life, in football, basketball, any kind of sport I ever done. Like harder than Kawada, Tenryu, Hansen. Like he hit me so hard that I had to become an Asian redneck. So
Where was that at? When was that at?
I got knocked out, so I don't remember it.
John, do you remember since you were the perpetrator?
I do. We don't have a video of that, do we? Or do we?
We
Do we have a video of that?
What, are you okay with us showing this footage? You're the one that got knocked down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do y'all want to see the footage?
You want to see somebody get knocked out?
The hardest he's ever been hit in wrestling?
Hardest? Yeah.
Let's show that beautiful being footage.
Freeman, go with a boot to the face. Boot from Bradshaw. And he qualifies for hell. Forget about it. Bradshaw into the Rumble match. Holy God. Here's your winner, Prichard. Bradshaw joins 14 other superstars from SmackDown. Well, Bradshaw 15 from Raw in the Rumble match Sunday in Philadelphia. Well, take another look. That's right, the big rugged Texan Bradshaw. He earned it. Look at this. A picture of 1,000. We'll take another shot of this. Clothesline from hell. Look at that.
Good night. Hey, that didn't look fun.
I've never said this, but you hurt my arm.
You hurt my Wang and
Yeah.
Jimmy.
How did you have any Yang left in your Wang after that?
Yeah. That killed the Yang dynasty of China.
Yang dynasty?
1800s.
Was that y'all's first match together, or had y'all done some stuff before that?
I think it was.
I know you don't remember anything, but
I do remember it because I was like the first time wrestling somebody that's like a main eventer, kind of thing. Like.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I had a partner, Ryan Sakota, rest in peace. He was a great guy, all this kind of stuff. And it was like, and I think Vince they were messing with John. So I was like, we're gonna put these two speedy wrestlers in the ring with you, and like they told me, they told us to blow you up.
Wait. So they said when you get in there, blow Bradshaw up.
Yeah, I said don't hold back. He's gonna hit you hard, so you do not be scared of him. And I want you guys to run him like.
Did you know that, John?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
This is the first time I heard
It's
that?
the first time I've heard that. It's hard to blow you up when you don't run.
Yeah. But if you see the 5 minutes before the finish,
Yeah, we're going wild.
we beat his ass pretty good. I was like, well, I deserve that receipt for trying to.
Yeah, so it makes more sense now, the finish. Yeah. One time they told me and Ron, we want to get Mark Henry in shape because we want to use him. So they did this sometimes. I didn't know that it was done to me, but it was done. They told me and Ron, get Mark Henry in shape. So we're in a spot show. I think we're in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think we were. Anyway, Mark and Dito, just keep Mark in the ring, just, doing drop downs and stuff and making him work, and stuff. So I get him outside the ring and I go to run his head in the stairs. I don't know that he's never not taken this, okay? But he's blown up and he's never taken it. So Mark just runs his head into the stairs, just literally just run. I mean, it sounded like a gun going off, and he busts himself open and he goes down and he's bleeding and he's blown up. And so I climb in the ring and Ron goes, what happened to Mark? And I said, I think he's dead. He goes, better get D-Lo in.
JCW Lunacy. New episodes every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. For over 25 years, JCW has delivered the very best in pro wrestling entertainment, bringing fans deep storytelling drama, gut-busting comedy, and unbelievable in-ring action. From wild characters to unforgettable rivalries, don't miss a single moment. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. JCW Lunacy.
He thinks he's the axe god. We'll see how it is. High score of all time, 375. Here we go. All right, hell yeah. Woo! Yeah. Yes, sir. We own this place.
Got it! Oh, yeah! I got a great white shark! Look at this, I got a great white shark!
Because there was two of them. Jimmy Wang Yang riding bits really hurt me. Well, what do you remember about this guy, John? When he's first coming up,
Oh, he's entertaining as can be. I had so much fun on commentary. I had a lot of fun on commentary with Booker T. You know, Booker T is very entertaining, just like Jimmy Wang Yang. And so it's fun when you have guys like that. You make stuff up and you just have fun talking about them, and they're going to deliver. They're going to deliver. So no matter what you say, they're going to exceed all expectations. You just got to set the table for them. And that's all it was with Jimmy Wang Yang. It's what it was with Booker T.
Well, I want to tell you, Cassie, a story. Like I don't think he remembers this, but like he asked me one week, as when I was a Keel before Jimmy Wang Yang, he asked me like, "Hey, I'm thinking about putting you in the cabinet. Like, what can you do? Like this is like."
What do you mean, put him in the cabinet?
I was looking for cabinet members.
For with Orlando Jordan.
Oh yeah,
like wrestling god.
Yeah, I wanted him in the cabinet.
Kind of do you remember?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah, I thought he was great.
And then I could, like, this is before we ever talked, but like I could, you know, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, they say, I want you to come up with an idea. And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to fit in the cabinet, you know? Like, maybe I could be your international affairs kind of guy. You know? But,
I just wanted a fun cabinet full of good workers.
Yeah.
And so I was putting a cabinet together, and so I was looking for it, and I thought Jimmy would be perfect.
Yeah, so that was awesome. Like, that's the thing. That's the first memory that I have with John. Like, he came to me and asked me if I wanted to be part of this main event group. I'm like, I love wrestling. I love this, and getting an opportunity. I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And then he picked Orlando Jordan over me. So
well, no. Well, I didn't pick Orlando, but I did. They did ask me if Orlando was okay, which I fully agreed with. Orlando was a really good worker and good guy.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you've been a lot of places, like a lot of us have. Now, you have not been to the moon, right?
I don't think nobody's been to the moon. So, like, that's what we're going to talk about. Like, Cassidy, okay, here, this guy agrees with me.
Wait, what?
No, Cassidy, Conrad, everybody's from Huntsville, Alabama, right?
Huntsville right here.
Yes.
But you're from Texas, where a lot of space stuff goes
down. There's NASA down in Houston.
Yeah.
Large space contingent.
Yeah. JFK and stuff like that. We was talking about.
Michael Hayes taught Glenn Armstrong how to moonwalk.
Wait,
True
what?
story. Yeah, Armstrong, first guy on the moon. He learned how to moonwalk by Michael Hayes. True story.
What do
true
you
story.
mean?
Well, he learned how to moonwalk. I just told you.
Yeah, but he just bounced. It wasn't Michael Jackson.
I didn't say Michael Jackson. I said Michael Hayes.
That's what I'm saying.
Freebird. He learned how to moonwalk from Michael Hayes. NASA called in the Freebird, said, how are we going to moonwalk? And Michael Hayes goes, I'll show you. Now it's on you. That's what Michael said. Buddy Roberts was there.
But you don't believe.
So I want to ask, because like JBL's the smartest wrestler I've ever met in my life. You know, like he really knows history, and he's really, really smart. So like I'm not as smart. So when I need like smart person questions, like, hey John, please explain me this in like redneck terms where I understand it. Like that's my relationship with him. And I ask him about political stuff and finance stuff like that. Yeah. But like I love history, and you guys from Huntsville.
So he's from Huntsville. He believes the moon landing was not real.
Yeah,
that's false. We have a large contingent there. We have the Von Braun Center.
Von Braun Center, first TNA pay-per-view. Who knows the Flying Elvises?
Anybody know the Flying Elvises?
Conrad liked Sonny Saki. He didn't like me. So like, that was his favorite Elvis. You know,
so Jimmy, you believe the moon landing was BS?
Yes.
They made it up. It was shot in a Hollywood studio.
Yes. Because like that's the thing. Like we're 2026, right? I live an hour and a half away. I have this new iPhone. Like I have dropped calls from an hour and a half away, but they videoed this, and it was like no drop calls and like perfect footage.
So you think it was shot in a Hollywood studio?
In 1957.
Okay, why was it shot? Why did they do this and perpetrate this fraud?
Yeah. So what I think, because it's the space races, right? Do you know the space races? You know, like Russia, like in the United States and stuff like that?
Yeah, we beat their ass, Jimmy.
Really?
Maybe
According to Jimmy, maybe.
And JBL. So he knows. He's so smart. I'm telling you, he knows this stuff. I'm telling you. And the NASA program, okay, she agrees, like
don't do this right now.
You know how these work in 2026, right? 1957? And how far is the moon from here? You know that?
It's a long way. It's a long
like 10 miles.
Yeah, it's past
Space miles.
Yeah, it's past Charlotte from here.
Yeah, so like, how, right? Am I the only one that doesn't believe?
No, there's a lot of people that.
You believe?
I was not ready for this.
Who believes that we actually landed on the moon? Why? Why? Give me some answers. Why? Because there's footage.
Now, why would the government perpetrate this fraud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the end game?
Just to beat the Russians, to get more money to spend?
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
I think so.
Okay.
Is
No,
that
there's
right?
not a right or wrong answer. It's your point of view.
No, but you got to smart me up with this because I think everything's a work because of wrestling.
I
so.
think the moon landing was probably real.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if Michael Hayes actually taught Armstrong how to moonwalk, but I do think Buddy Roberts was there. I really do.
Yeah. Nobody remembers.
And
Buddy. Come on.
Bam Bam was somewhere.
I love Buddy. Nobody
Bam
remembers
Bam and
Buddy.
Buzz were tight. So I think the Freebirds were involved in it, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I think the moon landing was probably real.
Yeah.
But you're not. This is going to turn into a whole thing.
It is a whole thing, but like, come on, you just think about nowadays compared to 19.
You know what we need? We need to get a moon landing expert on our show and bring him on here and talk to him about
I'm going to look directly into the camera right now. If you're watching this and you landed on the moon, please get in touch with us. We will love to have you right here and debate the one and only expert, Jimmy Wang.
Wait a minute. If
What?
somebody landed on the moon, how do you know they're not lying? They don't get your passport stamped.
There's only like 7 or 8 of them, right?
If they did.
Okay.
I say they did.
I got another question. Like for the believers, all that kind of stuff. It's like, why haven't they been back?
We
There's no reason why.
You know what? Why hadn't you been back?
I've never been. I don't think we can make it there.
You know what? In fairness, I've been to Biloxi and I ain't going back. I don't give a shit. It's there. It really is there. I've been there. I ain't going back.
Yeah, Flying Elvis just came to Huntsville. After this, you're not coming back to Huntsville. I'll tell you that. Well, look, first of all, we want to thank you for coming on the show. And second of all, John, I think you'll agree with me. This is the first proper guest we've had that I think didn't mention any kind of masturbation or flogging their mule or.
Correct.
No, I did earlier, the first beginning, right?
Yeah, he mentioned the 3-penis name, though.
Oh, he did 3 penises. All right, we've still got a horrible streak going here.
Yeah, we do.
Then
And
we
there you have it,
unintended-
folks. Another episode of Curtain Jerkers with the Cassette Kid and Jimmy Wang Yang.
Yeehaw!
What's your favorite JBL moment?
APA all day. I'm gonna say when he shot Big Show with the dart gun.
Wasn't that Kurt Angle?
No, I thought it was JBL, wasn't it?
Pretty sure it's Kurt.
No, that was Angle. I'm thinking, yeah, that was Angle.
That's the best.
But I will say, I did love it when he was pretending that he got shot in the dart. That's what I was thinking of. Because remember, he had that whole Godzilla playable with him.
That's good. JBL, man.
Yes.
Just be the lizard.
Yes.
All right, we'll go with that one.
It's Godzilla, but due to international copyright, it's not Godzilla. But I need to run like it's Godzilla. Godzilla! Oh, shit! It's upside down, stupid! Bitch! Oh, yeah, come on with it. Shit!
I'm not Jimmy.
I thought you were Jimmy. But no wonder.
Jimmy ran.
Jimmy
He
ran.
said we didn't have the copyright for him, that lizard. He said that was his people, so he left.
Did we win?
You did?
We killed Godzilla.
Hey, if you put these on, it makes everybody look naked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I better take them off.
There it was. JBL, another edition of Curtain Jerkers is in the books, buddy. And that, I mean, we did not foresee any of that. We knew Jimmy Wang Yang was going to be fun. We didn't know it was going to be absolutely off the rails.
Yep, and I beat Godzilla. JBL
Again.
stands for just beat a lizard. That
You
is
beat him
exactly
virtually
what-
now.
You damn right. I have whooped Godzilla's ass in many different arenas. I beat him in his hometown in Tokyo under the influence.
What do you think a bigger W is for a career, Godzilla or the Gingerbread Man?
Ooh, good call. Wow. One's a lizard and one is like an hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah.
That's
How about I
interesting.
tell you, judging by how my shirt was hanging on for dear life in that episode, y'all can tell I've whipped a few Gingerbread Man in my day. Okay.
It was a nice shirt. I just didn't know who blew it up for you.
Well, after watching it, I'm going to walk out to the backyard and burn it. I
You're
destroyed
gonna take
it.
it off first, aren't you?
Yeah, I put it through torture. It went through some hell. It needs to retire after
Those
that.
threads are tough. I mean, tough.
Oh, wait, shout out to Columbia. Those buttons were strong. They held the episode together. Buddy, we had a blast with Jimmy Wang Yang. And first of all, how about those graphics? We were in the ring. We had a jumbotron behind us showing footage of that time he hurt your arm when you clotheslined him. He
hurt my arm bad when I
Yeah.
clotheslined him. I mean, he works pretty snug.
And then the kicker of all kickers, he announced the moon landing was fake, right? Just dropped it right on us.
Once he started talking to us about it made perfect sense. I think he's right.
Don't do this. Right after we've had Artemis, we've shot ourselves around the moon and came back. You can't do this, John.
You're not buying that, are you?
John, I live in the Rocket City.
I
live
mean, you had
in
an ass
Huntsville.
shirt. There's something going on here. I mean,
We're making those ships here in the city I'm living in. I cannot tell you that the moon landing was fake. It's the realest thing we've got going right now.
Michael Hayes taught Neil Armstrong how to moonwalk. He did. Why are you sticking up for the moon landing so vociferously? I mean, you like anytime you bring up the moon landing, you're like, that's not fake. That's not fake. I mean, thou does protest a little too much. I think
We have NASA here in literally about 2 miles from my backyard is a base where they're making space parts. If I mention something wrong, see, my doorbell just rang, which means the suits could be here right now.
You're in Alabama.
Well,
I mean, it's
I
not
know.
Oklahoma. It's not Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma not only hadn't been to the moon, they hadn't been in the 20th century yet.
We have rockets here. We have rocket scientists here. I can't tell you enough how much I believe in the moon landing.
Hey, wasn't there a deleted scene in that Michael movie with Hayes teaching Michael Jackson how to moonwalk too?
I think I saw that floating around YouTube. Yes.
You know, Bill Bixby was like one of the first moonwalkers. He got it from Michael. Michael's the one that Michael did everything.
Bill Bixby, that was an SNL sketch, wasn't it? I'm Bill Bixby. Wasn't that an old classic SNL? Oh, Bill Bratsky, I think it was. Who's Bill Bixby?
I don't know. He's some guy. I looked it up one time. He's like the first guy they claimed to moonwalk, and it turned out Michael Hayes taught him.
Michael Hayes has taught a lot of people a lot of things.
Yes, he has.
Yeah. That's an easy way to put that.
We dropped We dropped him off one time, me and Dutch Mantell, and Michael knocked on the window, and I knew what he's going to do. And I acted like I dropped the keys because I was driving, and Dutch was in the passenger side. Dutch first had rolled down the window, but with the window down, that's when I dropped the keys. So I can't put them back in, roll the window up. Michael just starts peeing on Dutch in the car.
Oh. And what was that to teach him?
I don't think it was to teach him anything. I just think that maybe we had all been overserved.
He's such a great teacher. I didn't know if that was
what Dutch
a lesson.
What Dutch said was, "Oh goddamn! Oh goddamn! Oh goddamn!" That's what Dutch said.
No, Silva in the chat said Bill Bixby's the guy who played Hulk on TV. I don't think that's it.
It's Silva's birthday, and he's like full of himself right now. I mean, he's like overconfident, like, oh, that's Bill Bixby. No, it's not.
Well, Silva's birthday, he's had to work longer than the guys that were on Artemis. They were gone for 13 days. He's been working for 13 days straight. I feel sorry for him.
I feel sorry for him too.
It's all you.
Well, it's part.
You have 72 shows now.
I do. Yeah. And Silva told me that he's the new Super Porky. That's what he told me.
I think my dad had that on VCR, and I wasn't supposed to watch it.
I went to San Antonio, and not only did Silva not answer my call, I got to the airport, the fucking airport caught on fire.
What do you mean? Why?
I don't know why it caught on fire. It caught on fire because there was I don't know. It caught on fire. So I'm standing out on the tarmac because their airport's on fire at San Antonio. And it all happened because I went to see Silva.
And he big timed you.
He big timed me, and then the airport caught on fire.
I think he was trying to run you out of town.
It's certainly what it seems like.
Yeah. He was hoping you'd get back in the plane and fly back home.
So have you ever seen anybody dance like the Machine, like as good as me, you think?
No.
At the Dave and Buster's?
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, man, his dancing skills really stuck out. You weren't good at skee ball. I wasn't good at racing. Jimmy Wang Yang he's good at conspiracy theories. That was very good.
I don't know if you call it a conspiracy theory. Next, you're going to tell me the earth is round.
John, don't do this to me. I don't want you blaspheming trips to the moon pies, the art of mooning, which we've lost as a country. Why don't we moon each other anymore?
That's an excellent question.
That used to be when's the last time you mooned somebody?
Oh, it's been a long time.
See?
I once mooned a ship in Buenos Aires.
A whole ship.
The whole ship, yeah. A bunch of Russian sailors was on the ship, yeah. Yeah, I did.
Like you just went starboard and dropped trowel.
Yeah. Yeah, we were on a ship, and we had been to Antarctica, and we're coming back, and we saw this ship with Russian sailors, and they were all like, they're like the only ones in the port, and they were singing at us. And so I told everybody, I said, let's moon them. So we mooned them. And that, yeah.
Wait, so that was multiple moons.
Oh, yeah, there was a ton of moons, like full moons.
And you had a lot of semen involved. That's what you just told me.
A lot of what?
Semen.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet
you said.
Yeah.
You wanted all the sailors to join you, and you wanted them to see your dinghy.
No, we mooned them. We didn't.
You could have started a world war.
We could have, yeah. It was.
There were Russian sailors. What if they would have took that offensive? See, that's the point, though. That really reiterates my point. Mooning is the funnest thing. Nobody gets offended by a moon. They just laugh.
So they told Brian Blair one time, they being the Briscoe brothers, said, hey, we're going to moon Pat Patterson. And so, because Pat had drove by them and mooned them, and he goes, tell you what we're going to do. You get in the back in the trunk, and when we get up next to Pat, we're going to pop the trunk, and you pop up and moon them, okay? So Brian Blair goes, okay. So he gets all ready. So he could hear the Briscoe brothers in the car. They said, okay, moon them. Well, they had pulled up and they had parked in front of the diner at E-Hall Junction. It was back full of people. So there's the thing. They honked the horn. Up comes Brian Blair's ass, and they moon all the people in E-Hall Junction. And then Jack Briscoe floors it and takes off, and Brian falls out of the car with his pants down, and they leave him.
See, mooning is always a fun story. Mooning, moon pies, and moon landings. I'm here for all of them.
I agree. Even if the moon landing was fake, I don't care.
I'm not going to sit here and stand for it. You're going to get me. See, somebody's at my front door. I think it's the suits. The men in black are here to ding. I need it. After seeing me in that shirt, man, y'all just let me do that. Why not one of you said, hey, your gunt is hanging out?
I thought you looked okay. I really did.
It didn't. It looked like a busted can of biscuits for the whole 20 minutes. I heard.
That's people that actually used to open biscuits. I don't know. They still have
them on the counter and it.
Yeah, they still have the biscuits in the pressurized can. They still have that.
Why are we doing that? Why are we doing it? It scares me every time.
And
no one's coming.
That's what your shirt looked like, was the busted biscuit.
It did. The aftermath. It was laying out on the counter.
That's very descriptive.
All right. Well, John, look, we survived Jimmy Wang Yang. Jimmy was fantastic, as we knew he would be. And I'm excited to hear feedback from everybody who, well, maybe they sided with Jimmy.
They might. Wait a minute. I told Conrad this, and he didn't really appreciate. Mother's Day is coming up, and I've told like all the wrestling fans, a lot of your mamas used to be, what we called, affectionately rats, and these guys out there should get their mama a JBL cameo, and watch her turn into like a giddy teenager looking at Elvis Presley again. Anyway.
I don't want to pay for one. Would you do one for my mom right now? And I'll just send her the link.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give it to your mom. But I'll send it to her like on the link. That way she can have it and play it over.
Do it here, and then we'll record it. Yeah.
Because then there's no reason.
Send it to Mama Cass. Go, here we go.
There's no reason for people. Listen, Mama Cass, I want to tell you, this is JBL here, and I want to appreciate you coming to all my events down there in Alabama and all the notes you gave me and all the hotel room keys that you sent my way and all the different things that you did. And I want to tell you, I appreciate that. I know you're married, probably somebody that you probably don't want to be married to, but that's okay. You can still choose to fall in love and be in love with the one and only JBL. God bless you on Mother's Day. What?
Let's wrap up.
What was wrong with that?
We got stuff to do in St. Louis.
What's wrong with that? I've said nice things.
I wish you would have turned around and moved. Get your one-of-a-kind cameo from JBL right now for Mother's Day. You'll tell her she's in a hopeless, loveless relationship and bring up how she was a rat. J-Mom, love you, Mama Cass.
An affectionate rat term, not a bad rat, a good rat.
I'm about to moon you. You better hope
my God.
cuts it off.
It's going to be a full moon. I don't think we got enough camera.